Hey guys, what's up? So I made a video the other day about the Epstein files and how I don't like. There's a lot of confusing things about the whole situation, but in the video, I just kind of mentioned offhand that what if Epstein's not even dead? Because I've never seen a body or anything, and people fake their deaths, and he was rich, so like. And I never hear anybody else talking about that. Like there was the meme, Epstein didn't kill himself because a lot of people assumed that maybe somebody had him killed because he knew too much or he had something on somebody else who was, rich and influential or something. Sorry. So I said that the other day in the video, and since then I've just kind of been walking around living my life. But every once in a while, the thought would pop up, and I would think, "Oh my God, what if Epstein's not even dead?" But then I started thinking, "What if Maxwell's not even in prison?" Because they put her in prison supposedly, I guess, and then I think they moved her to a different prison or something. But what if they just let her go? And how would anybody even know? Unless you have access to records or something, like government records or prison records, or I'm assuming that because she's rich they transferred her to a private prison, and I don't know how the record keeping and all that goes, how that works in a private prison. Maybe it's not a private prison. I don't have any of this information. I'm just speculating. But how would you realistically know that they're not just back on the island chilling? You know what I mean? Like back on Epstein's island, just hanging out, laying low, being more careful this time. You know, like what if all of these rich, influential people in government or, big business or, wherever, what if they're all still just visiting the island, hanging out with Epstein, and everybody else thinks that he's dead and that Maxwell is locked up somewhere? And I'm not trying to I just made a video, I think it was yesterday, saying that I I I think one of the best ways that we can help the world is to educate each other and share information on the internet, but we need to be careful not to spread misinformation or just spread a bunch of information that's not very accurate or stuff that sounds good so other people repeat it but it's not really true. You know what I mean? So I'm not trying to start a new conspiracy theory um or you know I'm not trying to convince anybody that this is true because I don't know, but it's just something that I haven't heard anybody else talk about, and it seems like it could be plausible, because, or at least to me, with my limited information on how all this works and what has happened so far, because I live in the US, right? And it seems like really a lot of people in the US are really pretty skeptical about this whole thing. And it seems like people feel like it's pretty obvious that people are trying to hide stuff, people are trying to cover stuff up. It's taken them forever to release any of the documentation to the public, and and then when they do release the stuff to the public it's overly redacted. And and it's not like I've always I've always felt like people are too quick to just dismiss conspiracy theories, because like I think that we should scrutinize information, to make sure that it's accurate. Like I think that we should scrutinize conspiracy theories, um, to make sure that the information that we're getting and sharing with other people actually has some kind of validity. But a lot of people just hear something that sounds crazy and they just immediately dismiss it because it doesn't sound like it could have happened or should be happening. But like if you look back at like past events, like through history, really a lot of wild stuff happened that you wouldn't like like if you were living in the time when something crazy was happening, you wouldn't necessarily believe that that's what was happening. You know what I mean? If you when if you lived in a time when something wild was happening, like in secret, you wouldn't believe that that's what was happening. Like if you were just like the average Joe, right? And people have like pulled off some really crazy stuff, and it worked, through history. We have like record of a lot of crazy like espionage and conspiracies, like actual conspiracies and scandals and things throughout history. And there's, the saying that like history is written by the victor and all that, but like there's entire like books of like secret histories throughout history. And like the US government has done some wild stuff in the world, and it's known about. You can look it up. And other countries too. Like I'm not bad mouthing, or anything. I'm not talking shit, but pretty much really a lot of countries do really wild stuff abroad and in their own countries. So I don't even think it's that far fetched to say that something like this really might have happened. But I mean, as a caveat, I don't know. I don't have the information or anything, and I'm not trying to convince anybody that this is what's happening or anything. I'm just saying, like, think about it, because I've never heard anybody else say this. But like the video, I guess, if you like my videos, and subscribe if you want to help me out, because I'm trying to get monetized so that I can make some extra money, so that I can work on some other things, and I need some money. So if you want to subscribe, that would help me a lot. And it's almost Christmas, so if you don't see me again, Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays, whatever holiday you celebrate at this time of year. I hope it's great, and y'all be safe, and I will see you guys later.